pads thud. The air tastes of rubber and salt. Laughter cuts across the mats. He says, "Just a light round." Grinning sharp. She tightens her wraps, hands scarred and steady. Dog tags tap her chest like a clock only she hears. The gym reeks of sweat and tape. A buzzer clicks. He bounces full of swagger. She stands still, her gaze a drawn line. Strength, she reminds herself, isn't loud. A snicker breaks the air. A bet whispers about a quick finish. She breathes 4 and 4, hold, 4 out, 4 hold. But as the crowd leans forward waiting for the show, they've already decided only she knows the first strike won't belong to him. The gym carries a certain music. Smacks of leather. Talk that hunts for attention. Stories grow taller in the corners. Names on the wall mean everything here. Ego does laps around the ring. A girl by the heavy bags watches Avery. The girl's gloves are scuffed up and brave, yet her shoulders stay small. Avery meets her eyes for a beat. No smile, just respect. The room is a storm of high fives and jokes, and Avery stands like a peer. Mason's friends hype him. They want fireworks. They want a clip for their phones. Avery's breath draws the line again. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. She feels the floor, not the noise. Avery studies motion, not words. The tap of shoes, the rhythm of a chest, the slack in a shoulder. She sees when a joke hides a shake. Her own hands remember weight and dust. Skin remembers heat and grit. Her pulse sits low and calm. She lines her breath with the clock in her head. 4 counts, then 4. Again. The room moves fast, but her attention moves slow. She tests her stance against the edge of the mat. She feels the give in the foam. She keeps her chin tucked, not tense. Breath anchors her. It quiets the wild around her. It brings the horizon inside her ribs. Coach Brooks passes by with gauze and tape. His eyes catch the steadiness in Avery's face. He doesn't push talk at her. He sets a bottle near her hand. "Keep your breath steady," he says, like a reminder from an old road. She nods once. He moves on. His steps are patient, like he is listening for something beneath the music of the gym. The simple rhythm of care hangs in the air. Avery turns the cap. She wets her lips. The water is cold and clean. It drops the noise another inch. She names the next breath, then the next. Mason jokes for the room, not for her. "Don't blink," he says to his friends. He shadow boxes with extra snap. He laughs hard enough for cameras. His gaze skims Avery like he is choosing a song. She gives him nothing. She keeps her hands warm and loose. A bell rings for the next round. He claps once and points like a host on a stage. Her silence is a wall he does not see yet. The girl by the bags watches again. She lifts her chin a little. Avery's chest rises. The inhale lands on 4. Avery's fingers brush the tags inside her shirt. Metal taps bone. Light memory wakes like a spark behind her eyes. Heat on rock. Rotors far away. A valley burning at the edges. The sound drops to a thin line. Then the gym rushes back. Tape on knuckles, shoes on canvas. Someone calls time. The breath holds steady in her chest. The memory folds itself small again. Dog tags rest. The moment keeps its shape. The floor waits under her heels. She names the next 4 counts and trusts them. Mason opens with a jab that snaps like a switch. He wants a flinch. Avery gives him air. She sees his weight land heavy on the front foot. She sees the shoulder load early. She lets the glove miss by a clean inch. She answers with the simplest parry. He throws another. Same story. The crowd loves the speed. They love the noise it makes. Avery keeps the same breath. In, hold, out, hold, no chase, no rush. Mason circles big loud with feet. She pivots a half step and draws a small square on the floor with her toes. Space answers space. Hands meet and test. Forearms talk without words. Grip finds grip. Frame finds frame. Mason sells a feint with his eyes. Avery does not buy it. She feels pressure build, then walk itself out. She lets his hands write the story, then she edits a line with her wrist. Small motion, big meaning. Someone whistles. Someone says, "Cook her." The sound floats past her ear like a fly. She stays with bone and breath. She keeps the angle honest. She keeps the chin quiet. The mat hums under both of them. He leaves a door open for one beat. She touches it and leaves it swinging. A short counter finds the space and answers it. No drama. Clean contact. She steps back on her own count. Mason blinks like he missed a turn. Pride lifts his chin again. She does not press. She holds the line where it is. The noise from the corner spikes. A glove slaps the pad like thunder. Her pulse does not climb. The breath stays even and squared. The room shows its teeth. She shows her patience. Mason turns up the pace. He builds a story with feints and flash. He wants her cornered. He wants the wall at her back. Avery lets his lines draw wide. She keeps the middle of herself small. She saves each step like money. The mat prints rise and fade under their feet. A friend yells, "He's got her." The word "got" runs hot. Avery lets it pass through. She keeps the chin tucked. She saves the breath for the moment that needs it. The corner grows near. Canvas and wall make a shallow throat of space. Mason smells blood and steps in hard. Avery angles out by inches, not miles. She finds a new line where he expected a halt. He hits air that looks like her shadow. His laugh cracks, then seals itself back on. The room surges, then falls a little. Her breath marks the turn. In, hold, out, hold. Quiet saves more than speed can. The noise climbs again. People want the clip. They want the finish stamped in ink. "Come on, Mason!" Someone shouts. Feet drum the floor like a second heartbeat. Avery allows the wave to pass. She does not grip it. She does not fight it. She keeps her eyes plain. Mason's cheeks shine. His smile is thinner now. Heat gathers under his skin. The next exchange waits like a door with a code. She breathes the numbers and keeps the key. Coach Brooks passes behind the cage of voices. "Count 4, he says not louder than a thought. Avery hears him. She counts. She lets the count fill her hands. Her fingers relax. Her shoulders drop a finger's width. She does not look at him. She does not need to. The habit is old and good. The math of the breath steadies the math of the body. She feels the mat again. She feels her heel heavy and clean. She reads the next line before it is spoken. Mason lunges with sudden heat. He wants surprise to win the point. Avery does not meet force with force. She lets it tilt. She rides the angle, like water down a groove. His balance slips by a breath. Her hands find control without cruelty. She sets a hold and breaks it herself, and the choice belongs to her. The crowd stutters, and the noise falls through a crack and comes back smaller. She steps away on her own terms. Mason laughs again, but it scratches now. "That all you got?" he says, aimed more at himself than her. He needs the room. He needs their heat on his skin. Avery lets the words drop at her feet. She does not pick them up. Her breath is a clean square. In, hold, out, hold. Sweat runs into the edge of her eye. It stings, and then it is gone. She sees his chest working harder. She sees the speed tax the frame. She answers with one perfect note, a counter that only exists for a blink. No chase, no second hit. She steps back and makes space wholly again. The room cannot decide how to feel. Some cheer the skill, some want blood and noise. Avery's face does not change. Mason shakes out his hands. Pride tries to climb his throat again. The breath keeps her weight where it belongs. She will not trade herself for applause. He commits too soon. He throws his hips past the truth. The mat answers with a small slip. Avery sees it in the shoulder first, then in the knee. The window opens and closes in 1 second. She could take it and be done. She does not. She holds the choice like a stone in her palm. It is hers to keep or drop. She keeps it. The crowd does not understand yet, and that is fine. Avery gestures to continue. No words, no show. She keeps the rules inside the breath. Mason nods without meaning to. Something in him looks for a different road. It is not here yet, not formed. She gives him the chance to find it. She stays ready, not eager. Heat hangs in the air thick as tape glue. The mat smells like salt and old work. Her heartbeat stays below the noise. She trusts the math again. A hush makes a seam through the room, not silence. Just a seam. People lean forward and forget the phones in their hands. A respect they cannot name begins to grow. It has no speech yet. It only has posture. It only has breath. Someone lowers a glove. Someone closes their mouth on a cheer. Mason's eyes flicker with a question. Avery answers with stillness. She gives him the shape of the moment. Mason pushes for dominance again. He chooses the clinch. He wants weight to solve this. Avery feels the frame of him, not the noise of him. She threads an underhook with care. She clears space like a window fogged by breath. She finds the center of her feet. She finds a line of her spine. She steps free with no hurry. Control leaves no bruise tonight. It leaves a map. The air inside Avery's chest grows steady as a drum. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. That rhythm writes over doubt. It writes over heat. Mason's breath climbs a fence and catches. The edge of fatigue shows at the mouth. His shoulders rise. His smile forgets its lines. Avery's steps stay economical. Her gaze stays even. The room begins to mirror her calm without meaning to. Balance becomes the story. Mason drives and slips a fraction. Avery does not chase the slip. She becomes a hinge in the door. The door swings and finds its stop. Transition waits on the far side. The next beat will decide shape and silence. The room feels it. Hands pause in midair. Words fall apart at the tongue. Avery's breath squares again. The moment holds bright and exact. Mason drives forward and finds a sudden tilt. Avery reads the shift like a clear road sign. She catches the edge of his balance and turns it. Not hard, not loud. A clean sweep grows out of one true angle. His weight spills into open space. The mat receives him with a flat breath. She lands steady and square. Her hands do not hurry. Her eyes do not chase. The crowd loses a word mid-syllable. Sound thins as if someone shut a door down the hall. Avery stands over a quiet map of feet and pressure. The line she drew at the start becomes a doorway. She steps through it without a stomp. Control is a gentle art tonight. Avery frames Mason without spite. She checks the joints, not the ego. Her hands place him back into himself. Then she lets go. The choice is visible, simple, and final. No claim, no victory pose. The room learns a new shape for winning. It feels like breath after a long hold. Mason blinks up through the haze of his heat. Pride tries to talk, then quiets. Avery steps back a measured distance and gives him space. She keeps her breath square, not sharp. The mat holds the story in clean lines. No smear, no tear. Only control given and released like a hand across water. A hush pulls the edges of the room together. People remember their bodies. They lower their shoulders without thinking. Gloves pause in half-closed fists. Someone's mouth hangs open, then shuts. Air moves softer now. The gym keeps its shape, but the noise lets go. Mason sits in the pause, listening to a new kind of pressure. It does not shout. It does not sell. It asks him who he is without the chorus. Avery stands 3 steps away, centered. Her collar sticks to her neck with sweat. Her eyes stay level. The mat seems wider with nothing said. Time leans its weight on a single breath and waits. Avery lifts her sleeve with 2 fingers. The fabric drags over skin that learned to heal the hard way. A thin scar catches the light. It is a line that never asked for pity. It only testifies. The room leans in without moving. Eyes track the pale thread on darker skin. No one names it. No one dares. Mason sees it and feels the floor. He feels his throat loosen and tighten at once. Avery does not look up for approval. She lets the scar breathe the air it deserves. The breath inside her ribs remains steady like a soft drum. The sound drops clean out of the world for 1 second. No music, no fans, no banter. You can hear only a pulse in the dark part of the ear. Then the breath returns. Not loud, just enough. That pocket of silence carves the moment into something you cannot step around. It hangs above the mat like a bell that never rings. Mason blinks as if light changed. The room accepts an unwritten rule. Softness is not weakness here. The second passes. It keeps echoing anyway. The tattoo enters the light. A gold trident weathered by time and skin. The lines hold history the room cannot read in full. It does not need to. Everyone understands enough. The symbol speaks without a voice. Avery lowers her sleeve with the same care she raised it. No flourish, no cue for applause. The quiet turns from awkward to holy. It is the space you give a name you respect. Mason's chest rises once. He lets the air go with something like relief. A valley burns for half a heartbeat behind Avery's eyes. Heat shivers in waves. Rotor wash scrubs the sky. A door slams somewhere in memory and does not open again. Her pulse climbs 1 tread, then climbs back down. The flash is sharp, then gone. The gym reforms around her. Mats, tape, sweat. The present welcomes her with the simple shape of breath. She touches the tags under her shirt. Metal against bone. The ghost steps back into the corridor. Tonight, it agrees to be quiet. Coach Brooks does not raise his voice. "Ma'am," he says, as if the word found him not the other way around. The honor in it is unforced. Mason hears the weight of that single syllable. He stands taller by instinct, not pride. The room takes the cue. It shifts from watching a show to attending a truth. Avery meets the sound of the word and nods once. She does not take more than she needs from it. Respect moves like weather. Backs straighten, hands lower, a few heads bow without plan. Someone clears a laugh out of their throat and leaves it behind. The gym remembers how to be a place of work, not theater. The posters on the wall look less like decoration and more like vows. Mason slides 1 foot back, not in retreat but in order. Avery holds the center without holding anything. The air feels clean after a storm. Avery and Mason stand in a line only they can see. He searches her face for anger and does not find it. He finds room. He finds a mirror he did not expect. She gives him a nod that says, "You know what matters now." He answers with a smaller nod. The exchange is plain and complete. No speeches, no slogans. Just a door opening inside the chest. He takes one breath that belongs to him. She takes one that belongs to no one. The door at the back sighs on its hinge. A figure crosses the threshold and brings a line of hallway light with him. Commander Eli Grant wears authority like an old jacket. He does not pose. He does not announce. He stands where he stands, and the room adjusts by a degree. Coach Brooks turns his head and understands the shape of this moment. Mason feels the last of his showmanship fall off his shoulders. Lieutenant Reed Commander Grant says, 2 words clean as a salute. They land soft and settle deep. The title carries miles of road behind it. Avery meets his eyes. The past and the present agree for once. No recounting, no list of deeds. The name is enough. The gym hears it and learns how to stand. Coach Brooks' mouth softens at the corners. The girl by the bags understands something about herself. Mason squares himself and lets the last mask fall. "Respect, ma'am," he says. He does not chase forgiveness. He does not sell his change. The words do what they must and stop. Avery nods once. Pride finds a better job and goes to work inside him. It builds from the floor, not the mirrors. He looks lighter with less noise on him. The room breathes with him. Avery answers without flourish. A small tilt of the head. A soft meeting of eyes. The heat in her face cools by a few shades. Relief lives close to grief. Tonight, it sits nearer to the skin. She does not take a step toward the crowd or away from it. She keeps the same measured space. The breath draws and squares and holds. The gym is still a gym. It just feels larger. Commander Grant shares a look with Coach Brooks. It holds years. Sand, steel, long nights, short sleep. They do not exchange stories. They do not need to. The look is a ledger and a blessing. Brooks nods and Grant returns it. 2 lines cross and move on. The present keeps breathing. A bell marks the end of the round. No one rushes to clap. Hands rest by sides. Voices stay low. Respect fills the silence like light fills a room at dawn. No spotlight, no drum roll. Just clarity. Avery turns slightly and feels sweat cool on her neck. Mason wipes his mouth with the back of his glove. They are both here simpler than before. The hallway smells like bleach and old paint. Mason steps aside without words. He gives Avery the lane to the door. She passes him with a small nod. He returns it. Shoes squeak in a distant room. A water fountain hums. The world keeps doing its small jobs. Pride has a new shape in him now. It is quieter and stronger. Avery touches the metal push bar and feels the cold. By the lockers, the girl from the bags stands waiting. She looks like a question that found its voice. "Thank you," she says not loud. Avery meets her eyes. She rests a hand on the girl's shoulder. Not long. Just enough. The touch says, "I see you." The girl straightens a little. She breathes deeper. The world outside is still the same size, but her space inside it is bigger. Coach Brooks sets fresh gauze in the med kit. He notices Avery's old wraps folded into a neat square. The fabric holds sweat like a signature. He closes the box and sets it on the shelf. Care takes many forms. Some are loud, some are this. He leans on the counter for one breath and thinks of names he keeps safe in his chest. Night air slips under the door as it opens. Streetlights pour gold across concrete. Avery steps into the warm hush and lets her shoulders fall. The tags knock once against her sternum. Cars pass with a soft hiss. A neon sign flickers. The city does not know her name, and that is fine. She feels bigger than a name right now. She turns toward the sidewalk and walks. We carry ghosts that never leave. Her voice says inside, steady and clean. The sentence fits her mouth like it has been there for years. The words do not accuse. They do not beg. They tell the weather inside her bones. The night receives them and does not argue. She walks under a tree and hears leaves talk in a dry whisper. The breath stays square and kind. Back inside, a poster that once hung crooked now sits true. Someone leveled it and smoothed the corners. It reads, "Respect" in black letters that do not shout. The wall looks different with the word set right. The gym absorbs the message like salt into water. It disappears and works from within. Kids line up in small shoes and bright headgear. Mason kneels to adjust an elbow, here a stance there. He speaks softly and points to the floor, not to himself. A boy smiles when the movement clicks. Mason does not ask for credit. He only nods and moves on. Change lives in what hands do not, what mouths say. Coach Brooks pours coffee into a paper cup. Steam curls like a slow promise. He looks at the door that just closed and lets out a breath. Not heavy, not sad, finished. He tastes the coffee and finds it good enough. The night workers of the city are out there doing their quiet jobs. He feels at home among them. Commander Grant rests 2 fingers against the respect poster. The touch is brief and sure. He nods as if signing a document only he can see, then he turns and leaves the way he came. No footsteps echo. The door hushes behind him. The room holds the gesture like a small flame in a cupped hand. Avery waits at a crosswalk where the night breathes with lights. Red, then white, then green somewhere down the block. She touches her tags and feels the circle of 4 counts align again. In, hold, out, hold. The city's rhythm meets hers without a fight. Tires whisper, a bus sighs. A dog barks twice and stops. The ghost inside her gives her the lane. But some nights they grow quieter, she thinks. The sentence warms her chest. It does not erase the past. It gives it a softer chair. She steps off the curb and crosses through a band of gold light. The world is still heavy. Tonight it is also kind. She lets both truths sit side by side. The screen of the mind holds one last line. If true strength isn't loud, leave a trace of respect. Share it with someone who needs a second breath. The night keeps its gentle work. Avery walks on. The tags rest. The city hums. The story stays with the feet that heard it.